One extra.
One extra. It's your boy Ace. Right now, I'm feeling a sense of greatness in the air. I feel like I'm in front of it's like super legendary right now. I've got an icon and a legend and a future icon and a legend. Chris Eubank Jr. and Senior in the building. How are you guys?
We're doing good, man. We're ready to roll. We're out here.
Chris Jr., we're like literally hours away from a huge fight. And you look very calm. Like, what's the feeling right now?
The work's been done.
Yeah.
So, as the years go by, you learn that there's no need to get worked up and frustrated and anxious or nervous. You know, what's going to happen is going to happen. It's about the work that you've put in over the years in your training camps leading up to the fight. If you put the work in, then you're going to go in and do the business. I know I've put the work in, so that's why I'm calm. I know what's going to happen.
And Dad, how do you feel? How are you feeling before this weekend?
Well, I should first make a reference to the fact that you have a voice which is sensational.
Oh, mine. Thank you very much.
I mean, when you started to talk there, I actually looked over. Is that the same guy? Not really. No, that's a voice.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's not a compliment. It's an observation.
Oh, okay. I'm going to use that. That's going to be my drop for my mixtape. Thank you very much. Ring announcer, you think I could do that?
You would be underselling yourself.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
That's a voice.
So how are you feeling this close to the fight?
In fact, you reminded me of Ari Spears.
Do you know what? People
and you
say
actually look like him as well.
People say I look like this guy. And do you see it? I don't see it.
I see
really?
it. Yeah, and you got a voice. You got a voice. And it's tough. It's tough to have a voice.
Why do you say that?
Because it took me almost 20 years to make mine.
Right. To make your voice.
Yeah, having experience and having battled particular things which you have to live with in the society, being conscious or cognitive of these things, I may have been speaking over the years how I feel about the way society is, but they could never hear me. Why? Because I had a lisp.
Right.
So even having the cognitive skills, having the ability or the kahunas to actually speak these truths is one thing, but being able to deliver it, if you can't deliver it to where people have to be able to digest what you're saying. And with a lisp, it's very difficult. So now I have what I think is the whistle, and that people can digest.
I like that. Your dad's got gems, fam. Like, what was it like growing up, having these gems like installed in you as a young boy? What was that like?
I mean, this is what I've lived with and been around my entire life.
Yeah.
So, to you, they're gems. To me, it's just a daily.
Yeah.
The daily talk. This is what I've lived with, and I've learned a lot.
How was it having the Chris Eubank as your dad? Like, I can imagine being in the playground and Chris Eubank's your dad. Were kids trying to stick it on you? Were you always tested? I mean, let's just ask, what is the best thing about being the son of Chris Eubank, and what is the worst thing about being the son of Chris Eubank?
Growing up, there were pros and cons.
Right.
Obviously, I had kids testing me. They wanted to see what it was like. If Chris Eubank's son had what his dad had.
Had the hands.
And, I got into my fair share of scuffles and did some silly things growing up, that as we all do. And luckily I found boxing, which was something that enabled me to channel all my pent-up aggression into, the best sport in the world, in my opinion. There's been a lot of pressure. There's been a lot of expectation.
Definitely.
Being the son of a world champion. All eyes have been on me from day one. So, it is a pressure, but I've always used that pressure to my advantage. I've always used it to better myself, to push myself further, to fight harder, to perform better, because I know I've got a legacy to live up to and to carry on.
Do you remember that fateful day when he said, "Dad, I want to do what you did"? Do you remember when he came to you and said, yeah? And were you horrified? Were you excited about your son wanting to follow in your footsteps? Is it a road you wanted him to take?
Well, it wasn't, because, I was cognitive, well aware of the fact that boxing isn't just about hitting someone or beating someone in a fight. I was very aware of the fact that you make champion of the world, you become a standard bearer, you become a person within the community who people look up to, and so you have to carry yourself with a particular cut, and it's tough. You have to hold your nerve when people come at you the wrong way. You've got to be nice, you've got to be calm, you have to be gentle, you have to be true. I sound like a rapper. Okay, hold on. All right, so
He was rhyming there. I didn't like that.
hold on. So he was talking earlier on about being a kid. Do you know, fights? I was aware of the fact that he would probably get into fights because of me. And so at the age of 9, I had him take lessons in jiu-jitsu and grappling. Okay, so it was only about a year ago. I was in his flat, and he's watching UFC. I said, "You like this stuff?" He said, "Yeah, I always watch it." So he's well aware of it. Now, let me tell you this. There's a guy called Conor McGregor talking about Mayweather. Let me tell you what. If anyone's going to make it the crossover into UFC, it's this young man here, because he can do it. And when you learn something as a child, it stays with you, and you become, I suppose, you learn it best when you are 8, 9, and 10, and 11. So just imagine him crossing over and putting to sleep these UFC guys like Conor McGregor, talking the talk like he can deal with my guy in Mayweather, who is the grand master when it comes to hitting and not being hit. Interesting thought.
I'm very excited because I feel like this interview is about to go viral now that you've said that. Junior, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor McGregor, is that something you could see yourself doing, jumping into the UFC?
It's not in my immediate thought process. It's not in my immediate plan to jump into the UFC. I've obviously got many goals and achievements that I'm working towards in boxing. But he's right. I did MMA. I did grappling, all types of jiu-jitsu for a while as a kid. So I have that base.
How old were you?
I must 9, 10, 11.
Sorry. And
so I have the base. So I could easily transition if I wanted to. Yeah. It wouldn't take long for me to get back into that. I've got the striking down, so all I'd have to do is learn how to kick. That's the main thing. I've never really kicked.
Right. You've never had to.
I've never had to kick. I mean, I've been in street fights and I've kicked people before, but as far as actually practicing the technique, I've never gone into that. So that's the only thing I'd really have to learn. So it's definitely an opportunity that I might take up in the future.
And one thing I want to actually ask, and I've never asked it, I've surmised that you have always been okay in street fights. Have you lost any street fight?
Never. I've never lost a street fight. This isn't something that I'm proud of. No. As a kid growing up, I used to be a part of a gang.
Yeah.
And I would get into scuffles. I'd get into brawls. There's a video of me on YouTube.
I've heard about this video. I haven't yet seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried. Yeah, it's a street fight in a car park. And this was something I was doing on a regular basis. That video is actually mild compared to some of the things I was doing as a kid.
Yeah.
And, boxing took me away from all that. So it really was a blessing. But, that life is, and that's what I believe boxing is all about. It's about channeling your energy. It's about getting these kids off the streets and putting them into something that can, be productive. You got a lot of angry kids out there. You got a lot of kids who've got this energy and they don't know where to use it. So they go and they do things they shouldn't do. And I believe boxing is an amazing way to channel that and to make it into something, to take what they have and turn it into something productive and something that can benefit their futures.
In Jamaica, we say, "See it there."
See it there.
Okay. Now, let me add a little bit of spice to that. I'm trying to talk about UFC. I'm trying to talk about actually changing the game. And my son's talking to me like I talk to him about being a role model. You know, how strange is that? So herein lays the spice. There is a substance called crude oil. Crude oil. Now, all plastics, we can't live without this crude oil that comes out of the ground. It is in mostly everything. Okay, crude oil. So when it comes out of the ground, it is crude. Okay? Like many children in schools or many children growing up, they are crude. I was one of those crude kids. You see, but with crude oil, you can refine it and make petrol, diesel, gasoline, paraffin, Vaseline, petroleum. It can be refined. Now, all of these youngsters who have this crudeness about them, they can be refined. They're good. I mean, the guys who actually get through their grades and do what they're supposed to do in school, they are actually not as powerful as those crude ones who go off the rails. It's only that we can't channel, or the parents or the society is not channeling that energy or that crude oil in the right place. They're not refining it. If we within the community, the elders, can refine these youngsters, as in they have too much energy, they don't know what to do with it, they have nowhere to expel or to exhale it. If we can focus them, and usually they're focused into the boxing gym, but if you can focus them, these are very talented, very special children. How do I know? That's what they now call me. And really, I'm just an ordinary guy, but I was one of those crude kids. Please.
Awesome. All right, we're getting gems. We are getting gems today. Chris Eubank Jr., you got a big fight this weekend. You seem super calm, and you said you're ready.
I've been ready. This is a moment I've been working towards my entire career.
Yeah.
I've been 5 years of pro, 14 years training, in the boxing game, and it's all been leading up to this, my first world title fight. So I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm having fun and enjoying the experience of the whole build up, and we're a couple of days away now from making history.
You said that there's pressure because of the legacy of your father. What is your ultimate goal in boxing? Like, do you wanna do what he did, or do you want to surpass him?
My goal is to win this world title on Saturday, and then to go out and dominate the divisions, the super middleweight division, the middleweight division. I'm gunning for everybody and anybody who has a world title, and that's the goal: to unify, to take over these divisions and put on great fights for the fans.
Yeah. And sir, how do you see your son's future? What do you think is the future for your son?
I have to be me.
Yep.
And so in 1995, I opened the doors for Box Office. I had 8 fights in 1 year on Sky. So 23 years later, we have now the Eubanks going back to ITV.
Crazy.
Now, when I opened those doors, Nassim came in and made some 50 to 60 million. Wow. Okay. So I lost my championship in 95. 95 is when he made champion. So he came in and made that paper. Okay. Now, Mayweather just had a fight with Pacquiao about a year and 3 months ago, and he got paid $180 million for that one fight. So, it's there. And when I ramp, you see me, we ain't playing.
At all.
And having this ability, or the ability that him having the IBO Super Middleweight Championship of the world, that will give him the passport to tap the other champions. And we're not worrying about, and we're not thinking about the contenders. It's champions we're looking for. They have those titles. People want to see fights. So what Mayweather's done, he's effectively shown Junior how to make that paper. And as I said, win a ramp.
Now, the game has changed a lot. I know, obviously, we just spoke about the money. Like, what are the main differences between now and 25 years ago?
I can't say, because then that would make me to be someone who's been unkind to today's caliber.
Right.
What I can tell you is this: he's not been brought up by a trainer or a manager, and certainly not a promoter. He's been brought up by another fighter. Okay, who happens to be his father. So I'm putting it that way around. Okay, and I'm never going to be able to help the fact that in my core, I am a yard man. Just because they call me English, do not mistake the fact that I am a yard man. And this man has brought him up, and he has seen, and he has had to live by my cut. Okay, and, you know, let me just say at this point here, in fact, very controversial, you know, my children are not on drugs, okay? That's because when they stepped out of line, I dealt with them like I was dealt with. You step out of line, it's your ass.
Exactly.
Okay?
I think
and
Oscar, man.
Asaga.
Exactly.
Okay, and so this is why. So I pat myself on the back. You know, when I've had to chastise and deal with, you know, any freshness or what they refer to as ill-mannered behavior to the parents, I've dealt with it. So it's kept him straight, and it's kept his brothers and his sister straight. I pat myself on the back because the whole society is saying, you can't do that to your children. Mm. It's against the law to do that to your children. You know, there's an old saying which goes as follows: spare the rod and spoil the child. So I'm proud that I defied the law and dealt with them when they stepped out of line, keeping them in the green, not letting them go towards the red. And today, look at what we have.
Boy, you got licks basically, which is growing up.
Who didn't get licked?
Do you know what song you're walking to the ring with this weekend?
Still Dre.
Still Dre?
Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. That's my...
that's the anthem.
That's the anthem. That's my signature song right there.
One extra, Ace in the building. I've got Chris Eubank Jr., Chris Eubank Sr. sitting with me, but they're dropping gems. We'll find out about the big fight this weekend. Chris Eubank Jr. is looking super calm and ready. You look focused, very, very focused. How are you going to celebrate your win this weekend, and can I come? How do you celebrate?
You know what? There's no like set... there's no set celebration or, right. You know, okay, after the fight, we're going to go here. It's all how I feel. Sometimes I just want to chill. Sometimes I want to, you know, it's a fight, it's a good fight, or it's a tough fight, and, you know, I just want to relax at a hotel room. Other times I might, you know, go and celebrate at a club. It all depends. It all depends how I feel. But, you know, whatever I do, it never involves alcohol.
Okay.
I don't drink.
At all?
Never. I had some very bad experiences as a kid growing up with alcohol. And I thank God for those experiences, because now, you know, even a little whiff of vodka and it makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kept me away from alcohol. And, you know, obviously living the life I live, doing the things that I do, alcohol it can only limit, you know, and only, you know, it's a negative effect on the sport. You know, there's nothing worse than having a drink and then waking up the next morning with a hangover and having to go to the gym. So yeah, you know, no alcohol for me. But you know, I can have fun, just as much fun as the next guy, while being sober.
What is your prediction for Saturday night's fight?
I'm gonna tear this guy apart, man. Okay. There's no other way to say it. You know, this is what I've been trained to do. And, you know, this man, he's an IBO super middleweight world champion. But, in my opinion, he hasn't put in the work and dedication that I've put into the sport, and that's going to show on the night. I don't think it's going to go past 4 rounds.
Well, okay, I was going to ask you, because if I had a cheeky £20, you'd say round 4, yeah?
I'd say between 1 and 4. If you're a betting man.
So you just talking about not drinking. I mean, is that something your dad instilled in you? Because we see a lot of sportsmen go off the rails. They get famous. They women, money, drugs come into it. I mean, is it really important for you to just walk the straight line?
There's nothing wrong with women and money.
Okay.
That's,
sometimes they say that could be a downfall. You know what I mean?
We're men out here.
Of course,
that's what we do. But at the same time, all in, you got to be sensible.
Right.
You can't be, you can't let any of these things take your mind off the ball.
Yeah.
You got to be on target at all times, especially in a sport like boxing. As far as women, you don't, leading up to a fight, you
have to abstain.
Abstain, exactly.
How long?
Anywhere 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow. So the day after, you just get cracking.
Well, but that abstaining, it a lot of people always ask me, why do you do that? Why do boxers do that? When you go without for long periods of time, it builds your testosterone. So
right.
you become stronger. Your reaction times are that much quicker. Speed, strength, stamina, everything is just it's just more finely tuned. And you want to give yourself every advantage possible leading into a fight. So that's why I do that.
Chris Eubank, I gotta keep messing up.
English,
Senior, Mr. Senior, sir.
Well on there. One moment.
Yeah.
You see, I spoke my mother's tongue. He didn't understand.
You said, hold on. Yeah. I'm going.
I said,
hold on there. Yeah, hold on there.
Okay. There was a point I wanted to make about, holding a position. If you make world champion, or when you make world champion, what you don't quite realize at this point is that you're going to become the prime minister or president of all tough men.
Right.
That's a big deal. And if you don't have substance, or if you do not understand the virtues, of which you do, obviously, but I'm speaking to the audience, becoming the prime minister of all tough men, you have these virtues with which you have to enact. And they go as follows. Manners, a lot of manners. Morals and practicing those morals. Respect, trust, patience, a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of patience. When you make champion, you have to give people your time. Common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Always living by reason, which always obeys itself. Reason obeys itself. You can't be unreasonable. Otherwise, there's a heavy price to pay for the shockwaves of your behavior. Integrity, dignity, understanding time, loving. So when you become the prime minister of all tough men, that's when you win a championship.
Right.
The work really starts.
Wow. You ready for that?
It's just the beginning. This is the start of a long journey.
Yeah.
I will have a world title, but I'm not gonna all of a sudden sit back and say I've made it. There's so many more things that I need to achieve in my career. And like I said, I'm gunning for anybody who has a world title after I win mine. And this puts me in the position to go after these guys. It gives me my ticket to the big time.
We got to wrap up soon, but I just want to get a few more questions out there quickly. You guys as a team, would you consider training either Chris Brown or Soulja Boy for this upcoming celebrity boxing match that's about to happen?
I'd give him a couple lessons.
Which one? Which one do you think is likely to take it?
I mean, Chris Brown is, he's naturally athletic. He does all his dance moves, and I think Soulja Boy probably smokes a lot more than Chris does. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably go for Chris in that fight.
I think that everyone's smart.
But I don't think that's actually going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen?
No, I think that's a publicity stunt. They're not going to get in the ring, and I can't imagine them doing it. I think that's just it's a hype job.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, go for it.
That will be the funniest spectacle ever. The funniest.
If they do get in the ring, I'd big respect for both of them because it takes balls. A lot of people always talk to me, I'd love to go a couple rounds with you. I'd love to get in the ring and have a little spar or work out with you one day. But they're just saying it just to stroke their own ego, and it's a story. I told you, Eubank, I want to spar with them. But for someone to actually get in the ring,
they don't really want it. Basically.
It's a whole nother story. I actually went to Miami this over Christmas and New Year's. And I was over there with Dizzy Rascal. Okay. And we were sitting down. He's like, I want to spar. And I was like, yeah, okay, Dizzy, whatever. I just thought it was another thing. And then, the next day, so when we gonna get in the ring?
He was serious.
I was like, okay, so you're serious, right? Okay, let's go. So we went down to the gym, and I still wasn't really expecting that he'd get in the ring. Gloved up, put his head guard on. My man was ready to go.
Serious? So, How was his form?
No, he did well. He did well. It's on my Instagram. You can go there and see it.
Watch that. You should have sent him one.
Yeah, he's, a lot of respect for him because he didn't know, obviously he's not a fighter, and he didn't know I could have gone in there and tried to absolutely batter him.
Right.
He didn't know what I was going to do, but he was willing to get in the ring anyway and have a little go. So, big up Dizzy, big respect.
I just want to quickly ask as well, the truck, do we still have the truck?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, of course.
I love the truck. I mean, is that one of the most extravagant purchases you've made?
Extravagant.
Or is there things that we don't know that you bought at? Like,
no,
10 horses or something?
Extravagant is the wrong word.
Okay.
Because they are not expensive as far as the vehicles are concerned.
Right.
But it's the swag you have to have in the first place to actually drive such a vehicle. To climb down and walk into a Starbucks, buy a coffee, walk back up, climb up the truck. To do that, it takes being comfortable within your own skin.
1,000,000%.
Because a lot of people, what is this man doing? I mean,
right.
What is he doing? And so it's swag, and that's why it's been so much fun.
Awesome. And one last thing again. So Conor McGregor, that's going to happen at some point, yeah?
Listen, like I said, I'm not looking to go into the UFC anytime soon. But if I was going to go into the UFC,
if you was, you'd have him.
Of course, that's the fight I want. That's the money fight. You know, if I'm gonna,
but would you kill him? Would you beat him?
Listen,
kill is a bad word, but you'd have him
in a stand-up fight.
Yeah,
that's something where I'd have to learn everything.
Right.
I'd have to learn the kicks. I'd have to learn the grappling again. If you're talking about boxing
in a boxing match,
no, there's no contest.
No contest. No contest.
You can't compare a boxer and a UFC fighter because these guys they train in all aspects.
Yeah.
They're kicking, they're wrestling, they're doing all this stuff. So their punch game is nothing compared to a man who's constantly every single day in the ring punching.
So in the octagon, maybe. In a ring, he's finished.
In the octagon, of course. Yeah. Then it's a different story. But
in the ring,
no. It's
in a ring, let me just impersonate Jamie Foxx. That's what it would be. It would be he'd get smashed, and it's having an imagination is a wonderful thing. Just imagine that he's the first person to make the crossover, and the UFC is huge.
Right.
Just the way we're going to make boxing. Watch history and a little bit of history repeating, and I want you to finish on that song, Shirley Bassey.
Let's do it.
That's how we do it.
Thank you very much for passing through, man. Round 4, yeah?